So I got a question about doing some guard break stuff. So me and my assistant, Mr. Adam Wilson, we're going to show you how to do this. So I've got an old video where I was showing how to do a basic low guard break where we're down low, here doing all this stuff. But for the most part, a lot of times breaking the guard is going to be so much easier standing, especially when the gi gets involved where you've got handles all over the place. So let's talk about doing one of the easiest, in my opinion, standing guard breaks. And I'm going to show you a few things to how to avoid getting knocked over, swept, that kind of stuff. This is super important stuff, especially if you're a white belt. So again, we don't want to be leaning over Adam's body too much, okay? That's one of the biggest things I see mistakes-wise from new people is they lean over top of someone's body. Whenever I lean over top of his belt, he can easily pull me in and break my posture, right? So I'm constantly working up and trying to be back here, right? Put more pressure on the legs and also to have better posture. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to dominate one hand. And I'll do that with a sleeve grip, a basic cuff, and a wrist at the same time. If I have trouble grabbing this hand, I'll actually sometimes stick my hand out so that he grabs it, so that I can go around and basically just circle in, boom, and then 2 on 1. Now I can post all my weight on this and pop up, or I can stand up, 1, 2. Now, a lot of times we have to be careful about someone grabbing a hold of our leg, knocking us off balance, right? Because if we're right here, and again, Adam doesn't have incredibly long legs, but again, if I have space here and he gets a hook underneath there, this is gonna create a lot of problems and he can off balance me. So what I like to do is I like to place my feet and my legs right underneath of his hips here. If you wanna take a look at it from this way, if we end up a little bit out here, I like to walk my feet in just like that. What this does is if you look at what's happening, as I put pressure, just that alone is putting an immense amount of pressure on his low back and his hips. So what I do, scoot back this way, Adam, is when I get up, I walk my feet in just a little bit, and I get to basically, if you've ever done a deadlift or a basic jump, we're getting our feet into a strong athletic position right here, all right? And then from there, I've got good base. I'm not too close, but not too wide, and I can break the guard. Now, let's talk about hands. Once we get up, there's a lot of things you can do, okay? Lots of different methods. I'm gonna show you one today to give you something to try. And you can actually do the same thing from the lower position. I'll give you an option on that too. So we get our grip, dominate it. And again, if I want to, I can put my weight on it, pop up, and again, I bring my legs just slightly on the inside. Makes it a little bit easier in case he gets his hands free. If he tries to grab onto my legs, it's very difficult at this point. Now, if I can hang onto the sleeve, I will, and I'll bring it up with me, but if not, I'm gonna let go. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up 2 hands on one side, and I'm gonna shove it down as I drive my knees in, and then step back and break. For me, and again, you can kind of do whatever you want. For me, as soon as the guard breaks, I like to disconnect. This way I can say, okay, how do I want to go about this guard? I don't necessarily like to stay here and play this game. Again, they might be really good at it. You might be really good at it, but I'm just giving you a strategy for me. I like to break, and then let's say if I want to go in, boom, I can start to address or sort of make my advancement into the guard on my own terms, rather than getting caught into a scramble right there off the bat. So from there, you can also, just sharing this with you, you can also do this from a much lower position. So just kind of giving you 2 things in this video. Instead of 1, I step up, this leg needs to be really close. If it's wide, he can get an easy hook, but if it's close, it's tough. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring this knee in, and he can feel that. Let go for a second. Most people have poor external rotation of the hip there. That's about all he's got. So when my knee begins to push in like this, it doesn't take much, and it creates a lot of pressure on his hip. At the same time, I'm gonna have this leg back kind of diagonally. So I'm here, we got pressure going, and again, I can push 2 hands just like that to break, and then work myself back, get to a square position, neutral, and then try to work myself in. So for a few of you white belts that have asked about how to do a guard break or another option from guard break, or another guard breaking option, that's one you can do. Again, I've got an old one that was on the channel. It's not bad, but again, these can give you a few more tools to work with. And again, that 2-hand push from the top, that's really strong. Gi or no gi, you can do that either way. And in no gi, we just double up on the wrist. And then again, if you can use that same 2-on-1 push with the post of the foot, you just got to be careful, make sure the foot's very close to the hip. And again, that knee just tracks inward a little bit to create the pressure on the person's hip. So with that said, I'm finished. Adam?
Adam.